Savonarola ordered a purge of the pagan art the Medici had revived. Nymphs, naked gods and goddesses, it all had to go. The flowers marked the spot where he'd organised these immense, almost frenzied religious festivals known as the Bonfires of the Vanities, where all of the people of Florence would be encouraged to bring their most valuable possessions here, including works of art, paintings, sculptures, and to pile them into great bonfires and burn them all for the glory of God. In many ways, Savonarola was the Medici's worst nightmare come to life. The bonfire is one of the most infamous events of the Renaissance. But Padre Tommaso, from Savonarola's own order, believes he should be remembered as a saint. Allora, quando io penso degli Medici, io penso dall'arte, dalla banca dei Medici, dai soldi, ma
della cultura.
Con Savonarola io penso dal fuoco della vanità, di distruire tutte queste cose che rappresentano i Medici, no?
Io credo che Savonarola non volesse bruciare l'opera, il bello di questo, ma ciò che questo rappresentava contro l'uomo, perché tante volte questo era lo sviluppo di determinati piaceri, di determinate cose che erano in qualche modo contro quello che era il bene dell'uomo, il bene spirituale dell'uomo.
Savonarola preached that the end of the world was nigh. A mood of apocalyptic terror gripped Florence as the people turned against the Medici. In 1494, just 2 years after Lorenzo's death, his eldest son Piero realized the family was in mortal danger. The Medici were forced to flee the city in fear of their very lives. Piero, the head of the family, got his wife and children together and they escaped under cover of darkness on horseback. The family's possessions and palaces were ransacked. Their works of art were either seized or destroyed. And Michelangelo, by now Italy's greatest artist, was swept along by the new Republican fervour. The city commissioned him to create a Christian symbol of Florentine strength. His heroic David, ready to vanquish Goliath, stood against all those who would corrupt this sacred republic, including the Medici. The family would remain in exile from Florence for nearly 2 decades. The Medici redirected their energies, building up their power within the church. Another of Lorenzo's sons, Giovanni, even became the first Medici pope. So in 1512, the family could draw on papal military muscle to return to power in Florence. The years of exile had bred a new, brutal generation of Medici. When the Medici came back to Florence, they were determined to destroy the old dream of the Florentine Republic. They didn't just want to be rulers, they wanted to be absolute dictators, and as always, art was central to the plan. This time, they'd use it as a tyrant's weapon. In 1519, the Medici attempted to construct a great statement of their authority and control in the church of San Lorenzo. They returned to the genius they had fostered, Michelangelo. In many ways, Michelangelo had a love-hate relationship with the Medici. He owed them so much when he was a child, and yet when they were in exile, he worked against them and for the Republic. But despite all that, when they came back to the city and took over the reins of power once again, they invited him here to their church, San Lorenzo, where Cosimo il Vecchio himself is buried just in front of the high altar. And they wanted him to create for them a great memorial chapel, a tomb or a set of tombs that would make the family name live forever. Now, Michelangelo was certainly the man for the job, but what he created was something they could never have expected. The Medici used the death of two minor family members as an excuse for commissioning a thumping symbol of their dominance over Florence. But Michelangelo had his own ideas. He transformed the dead Medici into abstract and rather chilling images of rule. He wasn't interested in them as individuals. He even sneered that it didn't matter what they'd looked like, because no one would even know who they were in 1,000 years. Beneath the figures of the heroes enthroned, crouched or reclining on their sarcophagi, he's created these four figures: dawn, dusk, day, and night. And what they symbolize is the passing of time. Because these figures are so immense, look at that figure of day. He's absolutely enormous, muscular, vast. He's a giant, an ancient titan. But he represents the passage of time, the force of time, the power of mortality, the strength of death. I mean, that's what this chapel's all about. It's death, death, death. You're all going to die. And in a sense, you're not just going to die, but you're going to be forgotten. So he's raised the Medici up, only almost with the same gesture, to throw all of their pretensions of immortality into the larger perspective of time destroys everything, time devours all, lays all to waste, even the achievements of the Medici. Michelangelo's mocking masks say that the world's no more than a piece of empty theatre. He'd put his own genius before the wishes of the patron, a revolutionary idea. Unwittingly, the Medici had helped create the first artist as rebel. But Michelangelo had to leave Florence because the next Medici ruler had no time for unruly geniuses. In the 1530s, the brutal Alessandro came to power. He was only interested in art that would strike terror into the hearts of the Florentine people. He commissioned the architect Antonio da Sangallo to build the Fortezza da Basso. The result? The art of dictatorship. Alessandro de' Medici was a Philistine and a thug, and certainly no great patron of the arts. But he did order the construction of this intimidatingly impressive fortress. Now, the point is that this huge building faces towards the city of Florence. It was designed not to protect the people, but to subdue them. But the most expressive aspect of the building is the sinister metamorphosis of the Medici Palais, the Medici balls, because if you look below me, you'll see that they've multiplied so much so that they stud the walls of the fortress. each one like a cannonball trained on the city of Florence.